Am I the asshole for excusing myself to throw up when my boyfriend's family gave me meat knowing I was vegan? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I've been vegan for 10 years and vegetarian for 3 years before that. One thing to know is that after not eating meat, a person can't jump right back into eating it a lot without some seriously unpleasant digestive issues. It has to be reintroduced slowly. I found that out by chance when I got drunk at a bonfire party but confused the vegan chili with meat chili and spent the next day and a half fighting for my life on the toilet. Or another time I had stew with meat by accident and it came out both ends at the same time. That was fun to clean. After these experiences, I've decided that if I ever eat meat by accident again, I'm just going to have a quick puke because at least that's better than a day or two stomach issues. Last week I was visiting my boyfriend and his family. His parents and brother have always given me shit for being vegan. They crack jokes about it all the time. This week they were kind of pleasant, and on the last day they made me a meatless family recipe. It was pasta with chunky red sauce with a bunch of veggies and stuff. Am I the asshole for excusing myself to throw up when my boyfriend's family gave me meat knowing I was vegan? Disclaimer, this is not my story. It was pasta with chunky red sauce with a bunch of veggies and stuff. It was kind of weird tasting, but I was polite when they asked if I liked it. His dad was like, "Ha, did you hear that? She said she liked it." The whole family except my boyfriend and I were acting like it was some big joke. His dad then revealed it had ground beef in the sauce. I had a 4-hour flight the next morning and I didn't want to spend it blowing up the airplane bathroom, so I said excuse me and walked to the bathroom. His family was like, "What the fuck?" So to answer them, I left the door open and had a puke. They got mad at me for leaving the door open because my boyfriend's brother's kid daughter got grossed out and puked on the floor too. I left and my boyfriend came with me. He's mad at his family too, but also upset with me for how I handled it. I said no, I handled it fine, I wasn't being dramatic, I didn't want to be blowing up the airplane bathroom tomorrow. And they're lucky it wasn't coming out from the other end. He's not upset with me for that, but I'm mad at his family and I'm wondering if I'm the asshole. Am I the asshole for leaving my honeymoon the day after my brother's wedding? Disclaimer, this is not my story. So my wife and I got married during the early days of COVID. We couldn't go on our honeymoon due to the lockdown, so we put it on hold. We've been married for more than a year now. My older brother got engaged during COVID and is having their ceremony this year. Due to the nature of my job, I can only take leave twice a year. I'm a doctor and work most weekends and I'm quite burnt out, so we decided to book a relaxing honeymoon overseas at a resort. Due to the leave issue, I booked the trip for the day after my brother's wedding, which was my last available leave for the year. My wife told me I should probably speak to my brother first before we book in case they have any issues. I spoke to my parents and brother and everyone understood, so I thought it would be fine. Here's when things start to get weird. 2 months before the wedding and trip, I was on a call with my parents. I mentioned booking the trip and they asked what trip. I told them the honeymoon and I'm leaving after the wedding. They then said, "You're going on a trip right after the wedding?" Am I the asshole for leaving on my honeymoon the day after my brother's wedding? Disclaimer, this is not my story. They then said, "You're going on a trip right after the wedding?" That was weird because I know I spoke to them about this. The next day I got a call from my brother asking me whether I booked a honeymoon the day after his wedding. I told him I did and he seemed quite upset. He said, "Won't this take away the attention from their special day and can I do it some other time?" I told him we spoke about this and he said it was fine. Also, I have no other time in the year where this is possible. He said he remembers now about the conversation, but he only really processed it now. It seems like everyone is so quick to give advice but not really listen to what you're saying. I don't think anyone here is a bad person. It's just frustrating that we took the time to speak to people, but it's obvious they weren't really paying attention. Now I'm feeling guilty about going on my trip. People don't seem to understand that working in a hospital is very different to an office job. I can't just take leave whenever I want and the environment is incredibly stressful. Due to the cost of the wedding, they won't be going on a honeymoon straight away. Am I the asshole for purposely bleeding on my teacher's brand new chair? Disclaimer, this is not my story. For some background, this teacher is very strict about bathroom usage. She limits us to 1 bathroom break every 2 months. Multiple girls have encountered the same situation as me but have either walked out of the classroom or sat on a sweater. The girls who walked out usually got detention and if they walked out enough, suspension. I, 16 female, was on my period. I had used my one time the day before to change my menstrual product. I raised my hand and asked if I could go to the restroom. She said no. I decided maybe if I talked to her and explained the situation, she would understand. She obviously didn't and went on this long rant about how women shouldn't talk about those things. She went on and on about being ladylike and how my male peers would think this conversation was disgusting if they overheard it. I was starting to get annoyed and was thinking about just walking out, but I had to compose myself. If I did that one thing out of anger, she would get me suspended because I've walked out before. I sat back down and just sat there angry before I realized there was an empty brand new seat. The one I was already sitting on was one of those typical plastic school chairs. Am I the asshole for purposely bleeding on my teacher's brand new chair? Disclaimer, this is not my story. The day before, she said she was so excited to get new chairs and how comfortable they would be. I switched my chair with that one and removed my backpack from under me. Then I went back to work and kind of forgot what I did. Once class ended, I got up. A male friend behind me told me I had a giant stand on my behind. I was happy I messed up the chair, but also felt very guilty. Teachers don't make a lot of money, and she had bought them out of her pocket. My teacher was walking around the class and saw the stain. She was very pissed. She asked me to stay back in class, so I asked my friend to wait for me. He's a guy, so I was hoping she would be too embarrassed to talk about things when a male student is around. She was, but my friend refused to leave and stood in front of a window. She called the counselor to take him somewhere else. I was angry because not only would I get in trouble, but he would get in trouble as well. She called my parents and I ended up getting suspended for a week for bad behavior and destruction of property. My parents are on her side, which is out of character for them. For most of the phone calls she makes about students, she allows them to be in the room, but I wasn't, so I'm a bit suspicious.
My husband hit me for the first time and I'm still in shock. My 23 female, husband 26 male and I have been married since February 2020. We joked when it happened that we had the perfect timing since a lot of my friends ended up with relationship strife and breakups over the last couple of years. Currently, we have one daughter who is 7 months old. I stay at home with her most of the time. My husband works in management for an up-and-coming company and is often gone 9 to 10 hours a day, so I do all of the housework. This is usually totally fine with me. This week, I did a lot of cooking and baking and haven't been as diligent as I should have been with dishes. So I let them build up in the sink quite a bit. My husband mentioned it yesterday morning when he was grabbing coffee, and I told him I plan on doing them in the afternoon. He grumbled a little but didn't argue. Then, yesterday afternoon, I ended up getting a surprise visit from one of my friends who brought her 2-year-old for a playdate. Our kids love each other and always have a lot of fun, so that's how the afternoon passed. My friend left at 4:30 or so, and I immediately started dinner and the dishes. My husband got home at 5:30. Dinner was just finishing up. Dishes were about 75% done. I rinsed my hands and left what was remaining in the sink, grabbing clean plates so we could eat. My husband said something to me like, "Couldn't even finish the dishes? What have you been doing all day?" Oh, this is gonna get ugly. My husband and I like to tease each other good-naturedly, so I assumed this was more of the same. I said something like, "Dinner is ready and I like to eat it while it's hot for once in my life." My husband didn't say anything, but he did backhand me across the mouth and then he told me not to disrespect him again. I was in complete shock because he never acts this way. It was a complete 180 out of the blue. Even in arguments with men, I've never seen him threaten to raise a hand to them. I'm so confused and I'm scared to bring it up and I don't know what to do. How does a woman leave a man when she has no money, no income, no supportive family, and a kid? If not for our daughter, I think I would have told him to F off and walked out that exact moment. But my worst fear is her ending up homeless or worse, him getting full custody because I don't have a safe place to house her. My mom is my only living family and she's a barely functional alcoholic, so I'm not sure what she could do even if she wanted to. And then a part of me says that this is a huge overreaction and that my daughter would hate me for leaving her dad over one measly fight. Am I wrong for being mad at my fiance for replacing my coffee with decaf? Okay, I know nothing about coffee, so I don't know if I'll be able to relate to this, but here we go. So I, 31 female, am currently 4 months pregnant with my fiance, 32 male. We've been together for 7 years and are planning to get married soon. We've been meaning to for years, but have never seen it as urgent until we both found out that I was pregnant recently. We're both over the moon and really excited. However, I haven't become overcome by mommy fever or anything. Now, I have been lucky enough to not have experienced any morning sickness or nausea or anything like that, or any extreme symptoms in my pregnancy. However, last week, I started getting absolutely killer headaches. I would describe it as if someone had taken an ice pack to my eyeball. I am someone who usually drinks 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day for context. I told my husband about these headaches and started to get really worried because I thought I was going to have the flu or maybe something worse, which could be bad for the baby, but he didn't say anything. After a week or so, the headaches pass, but I've noticed I'm a lot more tired than I used to be. I tell him this as well, and he still doesn't say anything. Well, this morning I found a pack of decaf coffee empty in the garbage, and suddenly it dawns on me what's been happening. I'm the only one of us who drinks coffee, and he's the one who's been doing the shopping the past 2 weeks. I confront him, and he admits that when he's ordered to do the weekly shopping, he's just been reusing my usual coffee tin and buying the decaf version of the same product because caffeine is bad for pregnancy, and he knows I don't have the will to do it on my own. But look, I've quit now and can spend the rest of my pregnancy without it. He said he didn't want to make me feel bad about my vice by confronting me and that it would be easier to quit if I wasn't doing it intentionally, so he did all 3 of us a massive favor. I tried to quit caffeine before as a detox a few years ago and only made it 2 days, he points out. I lost it and said he was a horrible person. Basically, I started packing my belongings and said that the way he acted is evidence that he actually not only completely lacks respect for me, but that he caused me immense stress, knew it, and still didn't own up to it until I had to confront him. He is refusing to apologize, so I'm staying at our friends until he does. However, he doesn't think he did anything wrong. He and his friends think I'm being the asshole because he was just doing what's best for his baby's health, and that I'm completely overreacting, and that my reaction is just pregnancy hormones. I'm really upset and feel like I'm making a massive mistake. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but it's just coffee.